G'day everyone and welcome to the Before You Bet Racing Preview, taking a look at all of the horse racing action at Caulfield and Rosehill on Saturday, August 29th, headlined by the Group 1 Memsie Stakes in Melbourne and triple Group 3s over in Sydney, featuring the likes of the San Domenico Stakes, where we've got an outstanding field assembled for that particular race and some really solid racing throughout the day. I'm your host, Tim Geers, joined as always by my co-partner, Trent Crebbin, on the other side. He'll be previewing all the action in Melbourne. Trent, how's things?
Yeah, very good. Can't wait to watch the races on Saturday. Memsie Stakes is a cracker, and there's some really handy horses coming back as well. So yeah, keen to get stuck into it.
And for once, it looks like we're going to be playing on some reasonable surfaces, both of us this weekend. I mean, over in Sydney, it looks like we're going to have back-to-back meetings on a good four. We've got the rail in the 3-metre position at Rosehill, which typically I think is basically the fairest track, the fairest rail position you'll get at Rosehill. And over in Melbourne at Caulfield, it looks like you're probably going to be either a good 4 or a soft 5 at Caulfield. Is that kind of how you see things playing out?
Yeah, I think so. The weather's really nice Friday and Saturday, so I think we'll probably get to a good 4, at worst a soft 5. Rail's true. So I think, yeah, probably pretty fair track as well. But of course, just monitor the first few races as always.
We'll waste no time, mate. We'll get straight into our best bets for the weekend. Of course, brought to you by PlayUp. So if you're having a bet this weekend, make sure you jump onto playup.com.au. We'll kick things off over here in Melbourne at Caulfield with your best bets. And your best of the day comes up in race number 2. It's a horse that was meant to run last weekend. It's number 1, WINDSTORM, currently $2.60 with PlayUp.
Yeah, I'm very glad WINDSTORM didn't run last week. The races got called off at the Valley because it would have had no hope on that absolute swamp. I know you're pretty familiar with this horse over in WA. I think it's a bit of a star. It just keeps going, raising the bar, starting very short prices, and winning, more importantly, running some really good closing sectionals every time. And I just think here he's in a BM78 field, and he's a group horse. Simple as that. I said it with Showmanship a couple of weeks ago that he was a Group 1 horse in a BM84, and I think it's a pretty similar thing here with WINDSTORM. Couple of negatives. He draws wide, which is not too bad at a sprint trip at Caulfield because there's only one turn, but he will get back. That's just a fact. And they also claim 2 kilos. They've given Pikey the boot and put on apprentice Liam Riordan, which I thought was a bit of a surprise. I wouldn't say he's probably worth 2 kilos over Pikey, who knows the horse and has ridden him every start. But Riordan has ridden him in some track work that I've noticed, and he is riding very well. So I think he can get the job done. I think he'll probably drift a little bit on the day as well. Just we saw it with Showmanship as well. Some big teams are probably just going to take him on a little bit just due to the map and not really having any, Victorian form to really go off of. So I think he probably gets out a little bit. I've seen a few kind of bookie promos and stuff laying him, which generally suggests that he's going to drift a little bit as well. So I'll be backing him late. I think you'll get $3.50. And I think that's a great price for WINDSTORM because, like I said, he is a group horse in a BM78 at Caulfield.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him go around. I'm in the same boat as you. Pretty glad he was scratched last week when he would have had no mathematical chance of winning that race. So pretty excited to see him back on a firmer deck at Caulfield this weekend. We'll move on to your best value bet of the day. Race number 10, you're going to try and blast out in the last race of the day, the Get Out Stakes with horse number 11, SHAO, currently $16 with PlayUp.
Yeah, I thought SHAO came up a big price in the last here. Her last 2 races, she's been taking on some pretty handy races. She took on the Group 3 Bletchingley Stakes, and then last start she took on the Regal Roller Stakes at this track and distance. And she's been terribly weighted in those kind of races. Like in the Bletchingley, she was at weight for age against Viridine, who's a Group 3, Group 2 male sprinter, and was only getting 2.5 kilos, just the female allowance off him there. Now actually dropped in weight to an easier race, a mare's race. She's fit up against some horses that are first up, maybe just got bigger targets in mind. I think she draws well in barrier 7. Dwayne Dunn can kind of just sit midfield, maybe just off midfield because she doesn't have a lot of early speed in a 3 wide line probably, and just use that fitness and just let her root down the outside because she's been running some really good sectionals in much better races. And I think in the mare's race here at $17, I thought she'd go up single figures. So when the price came, I took it, and then another place went up and put up a bigger price, and I took that as well. And yeah, I'm pretty keen on her. I will just touch on the favourite Rubisaki, who's an absolute winning machine. You can't discount her, and I'll probably have a saver on her just because she's clearly the best horse in the race. And even though she's first up, they think she's quite forward, and she just finds the line. So, you know, she just puts in every time, you know, chases the line and generally wins. So I don't think I'll be losing on her, but at the $16 or so for SHAO Fly, and then just saving on Rubisaki around that $2.60 mark, I think you'll get a good result either way.
Yep, fair enough. And it's probably worth mentioning, just touching back on your best bet there, WINDSTORM, that with the easing of the restrictions between New South Wales and Victorian horses, it does look like WINDSTORM and his stablemate Superstorm will be targeted towards the Golden Eagle in Sydney. So that's the likely path those two will be taking. Well, speaking of Sydney, we'll move on to my best bets of the day quickly before we head into the Group 1 Memsie Stakes, where we'll get to an in-depth discussion about that race. But over at Rosehill, as I said, the track is a good 4-rail in the 3-metre position. And my best bet of the day, and I'm very confident this week, is race 8, number 3, MUGATOO. This is the Group 3 Premier's Cup over 1,900 metres. This 6-year-old, he resumed first up from a spell at Rosehill over 1,500 metres, which is a distance that's short of his best. He was too strong on that occasion. That was in listed grade. He won by just under a length on a soft 7 track. The firmer track's no worries for him. He's won 3 of his 5 starts on a good track, and he's also won 2 of his 3 starts when second up from a spell. So I think second up, tick. Firmer track, tick. Rise in distance to 1,900 metres, tick. Good barrier draw, tick. And he just looks a class above these horses for mine. I think he's on his way to bigger and better races. You'll see him line up in some of the bigger races over the spring, over 2,000 metres, 2,400 metres. Especially in Sydney. So I think he'll take care of his opposition here and continue his winning start to the preparation. That's race number 8, horse number 3, MUGATOO. In terms of his dangers in that race, I actually think his stablemate, Worcestershire, can run a good race first up from a spell. He's got 3 wins from 9 starts when first up. He won first up last preparation over this track and distance at Rosehill. That was in the listed Parramatta Cup on a soft track. He has won on good tracks before. He probably prefers it soft. So the firm ground's a little bit of a query, but he's never finished out of the top 2 from 3 starts at this track. And as I said, he resumed last preparation with a win over this track and distance. So I think the Australian bloodstock horses will be fighting out race number 8, but pretty keen that MUGATOO gets the job done. We'll move on to my best value bet of the day. I kind of struggled to find a value bet this weekend. So I've gone with race number 4. It's a staying race over 2,000 metres, and I'm with horse number 9, MERLINITE, for John O'Shea and Glenn Boss. My biggest query with this horse, straight off the bat, is the fact that John O'Shea has a terrible record at Rosehill. If this race is at Randwick, I'd be a whole lot more confident than I am here. But at around $26 or $27 with PlayUp, I still think he represents a little bit of value. He comes off 2 second placings leading into this. I think both have been in midweek grade at Canterbury and Warwick Farm. They were over 1,900 metres and 2,200 metres respectively. And all 3 starts this preparation have been on heavy ground. Now, he's a horse that goes a whole lot better on good tracks. He's had 6 starts on wet ground for just 2 minor placings, but he's had 8 starts on good tracks for 3 wins and 3 placings. So returning to a good track for him this week is a huge tick. He's won his only start over this distance. He does draw wide out in barrier 13. And as I said, if he ends up a long way back, which he probably will be, it's going to make it hard for him in the rail 3-metre position at Rosehill. But he's race fit. He's got a good record at this distance. He's running well over this distance, and he gets a good track. That's the biggest thing for him. So race 4, number 9, MERLINITE. He's currently around $26 with PlayUp. So we've gone through our best bets of the day. We're now going to head into the day's feature race, the Group 1 Memsie Stakes. Trent's done a runner-by-runner preview, a comprehensive preview. I think it's over 3,000 words. So jump on beforeyoubet.com.au, head to the horse racing section, and you'll be able to find Trent's thoughts on every single runner in the Group 1 at Caulfield on Saturday. We're going to go in depth a little bit here and give you our selections for the race. And Trent, I'll hand things over to you so you can get us started for the Memsie Stakes.
Alrighty, so I'll just start off a little bit with a bit of a speed map. I know we kind of maybe not agreeing totally on the speed map, but what I've got is Be Good to Your Mother leading. They've said, the camp's come out and said, we're going to make this a truly run race. We're going for the lead. So I think that'll pan out. Streets of Avalon coming across to sit outside him. I think the 3-year-old Glenfiddich will be right there as well, with Savatiano coming across. Iconoclasm on the fence. I've got Arcadia Queen just off the pace, maybe midfield, trailing Savatiano. Soci Bond, Mystic Journey, midfield just off the fence, they seem to map well. Behemoth from barrier 2 is a little bit tricky on the fence, midfield, just off midfield. And then most of the others kind of just out the back there. Yeah, just wherever they kind of lob western midfield. So my main selection in the race is going to be number 10, Be Good to Your Mother. He's about $19 with PlayUp, and I thought that was a great price. And I really expect this horse to firm on the day, especially if there's any leader patterns kind of coming into it there. I thought his first up run was really good in the Regal Roller, made the speed, carried a big weight there, 61.5 kilos. And the stable just said he wasn't going to be fit for that. That's going to bring him on a lot for this run. They've targeted the Memsie because I think he's going well enough. They weren't necessarily going to go to the Memsie here, but they have done, which I think is a great sign of confidence that the horse is going really well. He's going to be on speed. He ticks a lot of boxes with his stats. His second up record, good tracks, soft tracks. It doesn't really bother him too much. His record at Caulfield is excellent. He ran really well in this race last year as well, only beaten about 2.5 lengths. And that was his first go at a weight for age group 1 as well, on a really tough day to lead as well. So I think he ran really well there. I think he's up to this grade. I think he just ticks so many boxes with the main lead up, the PB Lawrence, looking a little bit suspect, that form, I think. I think he's the one that's going to firm on the day, and I expect him to start closer to single figures than he is right now. The other horse that I have to throw in there is Behemoth. I sent out a tweet a few days ago saying I think he's going to start favourite in the Memsie when he was all in at about 650. And he has come up favourite in the final field at $4. I really loved his first up win in the Spring Stakes in Adelaide, beating Dallasan, who goes around, coincidentally, is about $1.40 favourite and will be winning at Morphettville on Saturday. That was a really fast race. He powered through the line. He's a big boy. That's kind of what he does. I hate barrier 2 for him because he's going to be stuck on the fence and needing a lot of luck. He likes a bit of time to wind up. So at the $4 now, I probably wouldn't back him, but I think he probably gets out a little bit, and at maybe $5, you could probably have a saver on him, just because if he does get that gun ride from Willow and gets into clear air at the right time, I think he could be too strong late. So probably just more of a saver bet there. But I'm pretty keen on Be Good to Your Mother, and I think he starts shorter than what he is at the moment. Any thoughts there?
Yes, plenty. So this is the best thing about punting, and this game is all about opinions, because me and Trent are happy to disagree with each other. I remember when I was with Southern Ladders, my best bet of the day in Sydney a couple of months ago, and Trent thought I was crazy. And I think he's crazy for being with Be Good to Your Mother here. I think I've given him none. I think the horse is gone. 3 starts last preparation. Ran second last first up in the Australia Stakes. Finished midfield on a leader bias day on the CF4 Stakes, and then ran last in the Canterbury Stakes. He was beaten by Viridine, Age of Chivalry, and SHAO Fly first up from a spell. That form for me isn't good enough in a Group 1. I do concede I can see your thoughts in that he's going to lead. He's got a great record at this track and distance. He's going to be much fitter second up from a spell. So I can see your thought pattern, but I'm going to be taking him on. I won't be backing Be Good to Your Mother. Behemoth, it's interesting because just off there I said to you, how is this thing favourite? How is this thing favourite in a weight for age Group 1 race in Melbourne? And just as you were explaining then, I was kind of looking more at his profile and more through his form. And I can see now why he's probably favourite. You know, he even going back to this time or at the end of last year, ran 4th in the Golden Eagle. Good win first up in Adelaide, then ran huge in the Goodwood behind Trekking and resumed with another really good winning Group 3 company over Dallasan in Adelaide. Even so, I think he's short enough at around $4. I agree with you there that he will drift out. He probably tackles a race at the right time, and that there's still a few horses in this field which are probably destined for better races further down the track. If you look at the field, the likes of Regal Power, Arcadia Queen, those kinds of horses are probably still on an upward curve heading towards things like the Cox Plate down the track. I do think we'll see some sharp improvement from Regal Power today. First up, he was just no hope. He ended up near the back in a race that was running an absolute crawl. I think he'll get a much truer run race, as you've alluded to here, which is basically what this horse needs. He'll be back in the second half of the field, but I think second up, he's going to improve sharply. Let's not forget he started $7 in the PB Lawrence. What do we do with Sabatiano? Of course, she came out and won the PB Lawrence first up from a spell. That made it 5 wins from 8 starts first up. Her second up record is 7 starts for 2 wins and 5 second placings. She's undefeated at this track and distance. What do we do with her? Because everything about her profile suggests that she's going to be right in the finish once again here.
Yep, I thought she was, an obvious chance. I thought she was gifted the PB Lawrence. She got an absolute peach from Zara, who managed to scoot across from barrier 3, find the fence, peeled off at the right time. It couldn't have worked out more perfectly for her. And she, when you look at it on face value, the horse she only just managed to get past was Sir Coney, who is an open handicapper. Really, he goes around in one of the earlier races. So I thought that was her race that she got. She's better first up. She got a gun ride. And I think she's also probably better in a bit slower run races because she can sit handy and kind of just has that, kind of short turn of foot that I think is really good for a slowly run race. If they really run her along here, and as well she's drawn wide, I can see her being posted wide early at the 1400 meter Caulfield, which is not where you want to be. I thought she was more than short enough. I couldn't have any interest in her until she got to double figures, really. And even then, I probably still wouldn't back her. She profiles, well for the race, but I don't like the map, and I thought she was gifted the lead up, and I'm taking on the lead up altogether, really. So, yeah, not for me.
It's interesting you mentioned that 1400 metre start at Caulfield and not wanting to be posted wide. And for those that kind of don't know what we're talking about, the 1400 metre start at Caulfield, basically straight into a turn. So if you're drawn outside of your court wide, you're basically working around that first turn for a good few hundred metres before they eventually straighten up. If you look back through the last few winners of this race, or even the last 15 or so winners from this race, the winning barriers have been 5, 3, 2, 4, 4, 5, 7, 4, 11, 9, 4, 5, 3, 6, 3, 5. So basically, there's a lot of winners there coming from drawn inside barriers 5 or 6, which just illustrates, that point about not wanting to be drawn wide or caught wide around that first bend at Caulfield. What do we do with the likes of Arcadia Queen? I thought she was good first up in the Lawrence.
Yeah, I saw a few people kind of potting her after the first up run. And you know how big a fan I am of Arcadia Queen, but I thought her run was at least a pass mark. They said she's behind in her work. They said she was a run behind, the likes of Regal Power, really. And I thought she ran better than him. She jumped very fast. Lane just restrained her because, she's probably just there for a hit around, really. And, she came home okay. Like she just kind of trucked through the line, went okay. I think onto a good surface here is going to suit. She'd never raced on anything worse. Anything worse than a good 4, and she was on a soft 6 there. I think she's going to be much better suited on top of the ground. She still has the bar plates on, which I know you said the Grant and Alana Williams camp is not as big a deal as it is with some trainers, but I still would prefer her maybe a little bit fitter 3rd or 4th up, and hopefully seeing the bar plates come off. I'm wary of her on Saturday in the Memsie Stakes, but I'm not backing her again. I'm just holding out one more, and if she puts in another good run, I'm going to be ready to launch at her 3rd up, I think.
A couple more horses we'll just briefly touch on before we wrap things up. Mystic Journey. I thought her first up run was inconclusive. I remember tweeting straight after the race on first look after just one look at the live vision, and I put a question mark next to her, and a few people were kind of at me for putting a question mark against her. What did you make of that run first up in the Lawrence, and can she win this? I think $9.50 looks a decent price. She's got a phenomenal second up record, a great record at the track and distance, and draws an all-important barrier 4.
Yeah, she does draw well, and I think she maps superbly. I hated that first up run. I know she was caught wide for a little bit, then she kind of got cover in that 3 wide line, but it wasn't a fast tempo. So it's not like she was doing a whole lot of work on a fast speed. She was kind of just midfield, a little bit wide. Okay, yes, she was wide, but she got cover after all. And she just didn't let down really in the straight. She was going backwards of some of the others, like Cascadian was going straight past her. And I just thought it was too poor of a run. Maybe you forgive a good horse for a bad run. She hasn't really put in too many bad ones, but yeah, I couldn't back her. And she drifted as well on that day. Like I made a case for her. I was like, oh yeah, first up, this is going to be her race at 1400 meters. But Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. So I'm taking her on again. If she doesn't, produce well here, I think you can officially say that she is gone.
Two more that we'll just briefly speak about. You just mentioned one there, Cascadian. He's had 2 runs in Melbourne. Both times he's drawn the outside gate. Back this time, or in November last year, he ran 3rd, beaten about a head in the Cantala Stakes from barrier 16. And then his other start was, of course, first up in the Lawrence. I thought his run was really good first up.
Yeah, I thought he was the run of the race in the PB Lawrence. I think he's the one that you can take out of it, who ran really well, got back near last, ran home really strongly, second fastest last 400 of the meeting, I believe it was there. It's probably better over 1600, potentially looking for that now. I don't think 1400's, a huge issue. Draws barrier 8 here, so hopefully he's not last if you're on him. Ollie hopefully kind of gets one off the fence maybe, or a 3 wide line if there is one with cover. I think he's not really just a horse I've ever had too much time for. Like, he's always seemed more of like a handicap kind of horse to me, but that first up run kind of did make me take notice a little bit, and he's always had a few issues, like just not really mind on the job kind of thing. I think maybe that kind of signals that he's kind of becoming a fully furnished racehorse. I want to see it one more time. I couldn't talk you out of backing Cascade. I think he's a great winning chance, probably around about the right price, around that $9-10 mark. It's probably in my top 4 numbers, definitely, but I'm probably not going to be backing him on Saturday.
Yeah, I think he's probably the one for me. The issues you're speaking about is when Glenn Boss tried to use him as a bumper car, second up last preparation.
Yep.
But other than that, all of his runs have been pretty good. Even his run in the Doncaster where he ran 9th, he never really got out. The GOAT D. Oliver sticks with him, second up from a spell. Likeable first up run. This could be his chance to win Group 1. Final runner. Let's have a chat about number 15, Glenfiddich. Peter Moody, Craig Newitt, 50.5 kilos, 3-year-old colt. There hadn't been a 3-year-old winner of this race for as long as I can remember, but I'm not sure how many have actually run in the race. What do you think of him? This horse galloped alongside Gadding the other day. We saw it on social media, and he could have given Gadding dead set windburn.
Yep. I've mentioned that in my preview as well. I'm saying he looked really good in a recent piece of work with Gadding under his own steam, and Gadding kind of felt for a little bit. I mean, I don't give Gadding a chance here, but stranger things have happened. He bobbed up at $101 to beat Mystic Journey. But this, Glenfiddich is a scary runner. Peter Moody first up, 50.5 kilos. I think they'll go forward. He's led quite a few of his starts. I don't think he leads here because Be Good to Your Mother and Streets of Avalon are going to go quite quick. But with 50.5 kilos, he's going to probably just come across and slot straight in behind them. I think there hasn't been a 3-year-old in this race since 1995 was where I looked, and I couldn't find if they won or not. I don't think they did. So you could make a case for him like the 3-year-old against the older horses is always a little bit scary, but then you could also just think, is Glenfiddich coming up against some weight for age stars here? So you could mark him 50s, or you could mark him $7 really. I don't have him in my numbers because I think he's probably not even one of the best 3-year-olds. Like, he ran a really good race in the Champagne behind King's Legacy. But I don't know. I don't think so. Not for me.
Okay, so a quick sum up in the Memsie Stakes. Trent, you're with Be Good to Your Mother on top. He's currently $17 with PlayUp. The way I would go would be having something small on Cascadian at $11 and a nickel on Regal Power at $15. Although he might need 1,600, 2,000 metres, but I think you'll see an improved performance from him. There you go.
Can't win.
Yeah. We're both saying each other's selections can't win, so we're flying.
They'll probably both not win, and something else will bob up at 100 to 1.
Any other thoughts on the Memsie before we round out this week's preview?
No, I think we've covered most of it. It should be a great race. I think we'll learn a lot from it going forward into the spring.
Beautiful work, mate. So, guys, jump on beforeyoubet.com.au. Head to the horse racing section. You can get Trent's thoughts on every single runner in the race, as well as his speed map and, of course, his selections. He'll have his race-by-race preview for Caulfield on site. I'll have my race-by-race preview for Rosehill on site. We've got a couple of beautiful races over in Sydney as well. As I said, really, really exciting crop of 3-year-olds coming through, and we see a few of them clash in the San Domenico on Saturday. If you are having a bet, please do so responsibly. Make sure you're betting with playup.com.au, and you can find all your previews and everything else you need on beforeyoubet.com.au. Trent, all the best on the weekend, mate. Look forward to doing it next week.